I've got one. I can do it.
You can. That's the one thing about when I get so subjective. Except. All right, all electronic, hello, I'm sorry. You just have to deal with me one more time. We gotta find out what happens with Ophelia and Hamlet, don't we? And how we know. That's the key thing with the text. How do you know that, Miss Adams? Because I've read the play. All right, now, that was a bad joke too, wasn't it? I want to, kind of circle up just because I like to see your eyes. Get out your books and nothing but, or whatever you were taking down the notes of the text. Now, trust me, we're going to. But that's all right, I'm not going to micromanage. Y'all are about to live your own lives outside of parents and school. Let me just tell you this. Remember, we had two things we were following yesterday. I let you choose which one you wanted to go. The first one I brought up that we're going to deal with in about 5 minutes is the concept of the Renaissance man. We're going to compare and contrast the four young men, Fortinbras, Horatio, Laertes, and Hamlet. Talk a little bit about parenting. But now we're going to, the other theme is Ophelia and Hamlet, because the male-female relationship is so key, whether you're dealing with Hamlet and his mother, Hamlet and Ophelia, or Laertes, and blah, 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 blah. But let's go to Act 4. Now, if you, and I want you to turn to page 207. Now, as I did when I was here talking to you about the Virginia Woolf and Death of a Salesman, if you recall, we got structured. One of the questions that you might have, you're always going to have one on content. But you're always, I put up your Chromebook if you don't mind. Thank you. But you're always going to have, but you could also have one on structure, on what the playwright suggests. Well, this one, we've done Act 1, 2, and 3. The climax in any Shakespearean play is Act 3. Act 3, Act 3. And we know what happened there. That's where, and I'll go over that in just a minute. So I'm not skipping over that. I'm just saying I'll get back to it in a minute because it has to do with Hamlet. But now, Hamlet, once Claudius realizes he knows I killed his father, I've got to get him out of here. So he makes up some mission, says, I'm going to send Hamlet to England. Remember, I talked to you earlier about collecting our tribute so these English ships can come through. And I'm going to send his best friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Oh, my darlings, don't ever be best friends like that. They're going to take him to England. And Claudius has decreed that secretly that when he gets to England, he will be killed. So Hamlet is on his way to England, and Ophelia is still at the castle. And this is where she comes in. And it's the first time we've seen Ophelia since the play, where she and Hamlet were sitting on the floor, or, not on the floor, but together at the play. at the very top of 207, enter Ophelia. I'm sorry, 207, enter Ophelia distracted. Where's the beauteous majesty of Denmark? Now, I'm a pitiful Ophelia, but, deal with me. I'm the only one here right now. The queen is almost like, what's going on? She says, how now, Ophelia? And she starts singing a song that she should not know, being a lady of the court. Now, this is not anything that I would expect everybody to know. This is a barroom song. This is a song that you would sing at a men's only situation. The women were not at bars except if they were going to be hired to go in the back room or serve alcohol. But you wouldn't expect a lady like Ophelia to know this, but listen to what she said. How should I, your true love, know from another one? By his cockle, hat and staff, and his sandal shone. Now, Mary's not going to ask you but once, get your mind in the gutter. You're not going to stay there, but get it there for just a minute so you can understand why when Ophelia sings this song, you're like, oh my God, what are you doing singing this song? Alas, sweet lady, what imports this song? Say you. Nay, pray you mark, he is dead and gone, lady, he is dead and gone. At his head a green grass turf, at his heels a stone. This is not the next verse of that song. It's a completely different song. And of course, I think, in my humble opinion, that this is, and I think other people do too, this is a reference to her father's death. And her father, of course, was murdered by him. It's pretty heavy. Nay, but Ophelia, pray you mark. White his shroud is the mountain snow. And the king comes in and the queen says, come here. Look here, my lord. Larded all sweet flowers, which bewept the ground did not go with true love showers. How do you, pretty lady? Now look at this next line. Well, God dealt you. They say the owl was a baker's daughter. Lord, we know what we are, but know not what we may be. Now stop right there. That's a throwaway line. You're going to say, who cares? But if you take that line off the plate, you don't have a lot of evidence for some other discussion that will go on. The king says, conceit upon her father, and Ophelia says, pray, let's have no more words of this. But when they ask you what it means, say you this. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day. It's a whole different song. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning betide, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose, and donned his clothes, and up the chamber door, let in the maid, that out a maid, never departed more. Now this is getting a lot more specific, is it not? And the king is he can't believe it. Pretty Ophelia! Indeed, without an oath, I'll make it into it. By guess and by security, alack and fie for shame. Young men will do it, if they come to it. By cock, they are to blame. Quoth she, before you tumbled me, you promised me to wed. So would I done by yonder side, if that has not come to my bed. How long hath she been thus? Now stop just a minute. On the page before, we know what we are, but we know not what we may be. Now she has given two songs. One of them, Polonius was alive, and now he's dead. So definitely it could be referring to that. But if you're talking about Ophelia and Hamlet, could she be suggesting? Not what could she be meaning, but what could this song be suggesting? Now, the next thing we hear of Ophelia is just a few more pages. I'm not gonna go over that with you. We do not see her again, but we hear that she has committed suicide. She's drowned herself. She just walks into, like Virginia Woolf, just walks into the ocean and doesn't come out. Remember Denmark at the sea. Now, how do you interpret what you just read about Ophelia? What is the essence of her grief? There's been one very popular interpretation of this later is Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. And he has all kind of flashbacks of what's happened before. And he has Ophelia and Hamlet in very, very obvious sex scenes. And the suggestion is that Ophelia is pregnant. And so, if that's the case, and it's a big if that's the case, do we have any textual proof or textual evidence that that might be the case? And again, at the very beginning, if Hamlet and Ophelia are just middle school girlfriend and boyfriend, then when she starts avoiding him and saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna see you, I'm busy tonight. It's no big deal. It's just petty juvenile playing games." But if indeed they've had an intimate relationship and he has said, I loved you once. And then he also said, I know not seems, I don't know how to pretend. If that's the case, then her betrayal, as he would see it, of him would be all the more egregious. She would just be one more person who has let him down. And she does commit suicide. Now, and as to why, I don't know. She didn't stick around long enough for me to ask her. But I have the text of the play, and I can look at it from there. Now, let's go to Act 5. This is on page 253. Hamlet has come back. He's escaped, which is a wonderful escape plan. We'll go over that in just a minute. But he has come back to Denmark. He snuck back into Denmark. And he comes upon a funeral, and he doesn't know whose it is. You know this. So he says, come here, let me just see what's going on. And it's Ophelia's funeral. And when they bury her, Laertes, the brother, is furious. What ceremony else? In other words, is that all you're going to do? And Hamlet is hiding back there with Horatio, and he says, that's Laertes, a very noble youth. Mark. What ceremony else? Her obsequies, that means her funeral rites, have been as far enlarged as we have warranty. Her death was doubtful. In other words, she committed suicide. Do you remember Hamlet saying at the very beginning of the play, oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, or that the everlasting hath not set its canon against self-slaughter. So we know that suicide was part of their religious canon at that time. And Hamlet, line 248. 248, this is important. Lay her in the earth, talking about Ophelia, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. Now stop just a minute. What a boring phrase. Except that her brother is emphasizing what about her? That she was sweet? That she was pretty? No, that she was unpolluted. In other words, a virgin. From her unpolluted flesh may violets grow. Now, why is that important? There was a legend, and it's from Norse mythology somewhere. Denmark, remember, is in the Scandinavia, that if you died a virgin, violets would spring from your grave. If you were not a virgin, I can't remember, I don't think it's weeds that are going to flow with. I mean, I'm not a virgin, I've had 3 children, but what I'm saying is that it's not a bad thing if you have another kind of flower. But when he says violets will grow from her grave, he's trying to protect her honor. And then look, Hamlet hears him. What, the fair Ophelia? And the queen says, oh, you talk about irony. This is the definition of irony. Sweet to the sweet, farewell. I had hoped thou shouldst have been my Hamlet's wife, and I thought thy bride bed to have decked sweet babe, and not as true. All right, this is the queen saying, I wanted you to marry my son. Why in the world did Laertes and Polonius tell Ophelia to break up with him? He'll not be, he's just playing with you. He's not gonna be able to marry you. He's too important. And the irony is that all the time, that's who Gertrude wanted for Hamlet's wife. And if Polonius had not interfered, oh well, you know this. Now, then the next page, if you will. Hamlet comes out and confronts the whole party. They don't know he's even there. And look at page line 285. I loved Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not, with all their quality of love, make up my son. What wilt thou do for her? And the king now knows he's back. Oh, he is madly irritated. Okay. Now, that's the end of you know, we're going to get into Hamlet and his death and all that in just a minute. But I want to share something with you. I'm going to pass these. Everybody take one of these. This is from a textbook that I taught from my very first year. I moved to Temple in 1975. Yeah. Your parents were even alive then. But pass this around and take one. This is from a textbook I taught from here in Temple. It's two-sided, but turn to the side that says 160, and if I've run out, you let me know. We need more?
Yeah. Just one more.
One more, we got it.
That's what you know for.
Pass that back, if you don't mind. All right, turn to 160. There's a 160 and 161 here. I've just read this out loud to you. I want you to look at this, just peruse it, scan it, and tell me what you notice that's different from what I read to you. Do you notice anything different? What? I just couldn't hear you, darling.
The names are abbreviated.
Names are abbreviated. Anything about content? Okay, what else?
And there's another person there as well.
Okay,
Wait, I'm getting a C.
Huh?
Oh, wait, no. This is just me. I was wrong scene.
all right. Did you see any of that, what about the songs that Ophelia sings? Are they the same songs that she sang?
Oh, there's another guy there, like a gentleman. He was like saying that what she said.
Again, I don't like it when a teacher asks you something and you have to guess what she's thinking. And I don't want, but my point in having you see this, and you're right, everything you said, is that half, 2/3 of what Ophelia said or sang is omitted. Do you see that? It's omitted. Huh?
Because it's inappropriate.
I think you have a point there, Mr. Myers. Now, I know that you wish that I'd been fired on the first day I was teaching this at Temple High, then I wouldn't even be around here. However, I knew Hamlet back. I mean, I taught several years before I came here, and I taught Hamlet a lot. So when I walked into class, I had my own copy of Hamlet. And so I walked into class. We were just going to go to Act 4. I did it at Act today. And so I started reading to them like I did have their books up. And I said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with my book. And I said, I have the wrong book. And I went over and looked at theirs. And theirs was just like this. I was livid. textbooks cost so much money. You all don't have them anymore, you have the Chromebooks. I don't, well, I'm sure you have some, but paperbacks were unheard of then. We're talking about paperbacks, 75, dark ages. So, I went, I couldn't wait to get out of class. The children, excuse me, the students couldn't, they were seniors, couldn't understand why I was upset. I said, there's something wrong with the play. Well, did I really want to tell them there's a lot of licentious language in here that y'all aren't getting to see? No, I wasn't going to tell them that. So I went to the principal and told him, I said, look at this, look what's happened. And he was a dear friend of mine, we had become good friends, and he said, now, Mary, let me tell you something. I know you're upset about this, but I got a lot of other problems on my desk right now. This is not the one I want to address. And I said, well, how come we have these textbooks? He made it come. He said, well, the Texas textbook committee approved, makes these decisions. So I called the publisher, and they said, well, Texas and 2 other southern states were one of the few that refused to adopt our book unless we took out certain things. All this is happening now within 30 minutes. I called Austin and TEA, and I said, when is the next meeting of the textbook committee? And they said, as a matter of fact, they're meeting this week. So I told the principal, you can count me absent tomorrow if you like. You can dock me. I don't care, but I'm going to Austin. So I drove to Austin, made my little appearance before the committee, and I managed to keep, if you want to make your point, you don't ever scream. You make it very logical. So I had to fight against everything I got inside. And I'll never forget a man said, now, Ms. Adams, you love children, don't you? Yeah, I do. Well, now, do you really, really, really want to have them read this filth? And I said, well, I want them to understand Hamlet Mathie's motivation. Well, I think that they can figure that out later. And it was, I could make a comic show about, I do stand-up comedy anyway, but nobody even knows me to play well enough to understand that. So, but I have it. When I'm dead and gone, somebody can produce it. So anyway, I came back, and make a long story short, went to the school board, and they approved buying paperback books of Hamlet to teach from the next year. And we have, I've been enough of that. But my point is about censorship. When you take something out of the play and you don't, when you take anything out and you don't, because you're afraid of damaging something or language or whatever, then you, if you're not familiar with the text, you're completely skewing, not screwing, skewing the way people would understand the play. So enough of that. That's my tirade for the day. Pass these back up. And I want, be very, very covetous of the text when you're doing something like this. Okay. Now let's go to our second theme, which is the Renaissance men. Do you remember the picture I put up on the board yesterday, or showed you the Pantheon? Okay. Now, what textual proof do we have? Remember, the Renaissance man was the well-rounded man, having all of these characteristics. What's our textual proof that Hamlet, before his father's death, had all these traits? Yeah.
When Gertrude was like kind of monologuing of how he used to be.
Oh, but that's Ophelia who's doing that. Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. And she lists the characteristics of Hamlet. That's right after their confrontation in the hall. All right, now we're going to look at men. Turn to page 7. No, excuse me, 9. Turn to page 9. This is the first scene with the ghost. Now, this is the night watch, and the soldiers are out there, Marcellus and Bernardo and Francisco, and they asked for Horatio to come. Let's look at line 28. Marcella says, again, this is a throwaway line, but it's important. Horatio says, "'Tis but our fantasy, and will not and let belief take hold of him, touching this dreaded sight twice seen of us. Therefore I've entreated him along." All right, stop just a minute. What he's saying is, we've seen the ghost. And we told Horatio about it. What does Horatio say? That's ridiculous. Huh? Yeah, he said, that's ridiculous. There's no scared. It's a ghost. Now, stop right now. You know what we're talking about. You have a friend, you may be that friend, who's kind of into conspiracy theories. Or you may, either you're that friend or you're not that friend. You don't believe in him. You're rational. That's ridiculous. How do you know that? I just know that I know. What they say to Horatio is exactly like that. Horatio, they want Horatio, Mr. Rationalist. That's ridiculous. No such thing as ghosts. They want him to come and see, because if they can convince him, and then he says, there's no such thing as a ghost, and the ghost appears. And Horatio says, oh my God, if I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't believe it. And so that's where they make the plan. Let's go tell Hamlet about this, because the ghost won't talk to us. And Hamlet won't believe us. But Horatio, you're his best friend. He trusts you more than anything. You tell him about it and get him to come. Okay? So now let's turn to 53. So Horatio gets Hamlet to come see the ghost with him. And he says, and Horatio just said, look, the ghost is beckoning you to come to him. All right? Now, on line 76, the last words Hamlet says is, I'll follow it. And look what Horatio's fear is. What if it tempts you toward the flood, my lord, or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles o'er his base into the sea? In other words, what if seeing this causes you to lose touch with reality? Because you've been upset lately, and I don't know, I don't want things to push you too far. So he knows that about Hamlet. Now, I want you to turn to page 59 and 59. This is when Hamlet's alone with the ghost. This is a little bit more tedious for you, but you've got to know these lines. The ghost said, Hamlet says, well, what do you want? You're my father, you look like my father. And he said, I want you to avenge my murder. And Hamlet, it's the first time he's heard of murder. All he knows is that his father is dead. And look at line 48. My prophetic soul, my uncle. In other words, your uncle's the one who killed me. My brother killed me. And when Hamlet says, I knew something was wrong, that's something in here. Horatio would say, how in the world would you know that? I just feel it. Really? Have you ever had a religious argument with anyone?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that? I don't want to hear about it. I've had enough in my life. And you have some that want to say, how would you know that? And to that person who relies on facts, the person says, I just feel it. I just know it in here. That doesn't produce anything. If you're trying to convince someone that doesn't go in that direction. So there's this, and Horatio is that person, but Hamlet said, then Hamlet, the King Hamlet, or the dead Hamlet says, yeah, I was sleeping in my orchard, and somebody, my uncle came by and put poison in my ear. Boy, it's gonna kill somebody. That's quite a way to do it, isn't it? Put poison in my ear. And so, but they said that the story given out is that a snake bit me and asked, And you said, I haven't taken on this passage before, if he's in the Garden of Eden, okay, never mind. Carnal knowledge and all that good stuff. Okay, so, and then he says that his wife had been having an affair with him. Okay, now I want you to go, important line 61, page 61. He says, I want you to avenge my death. Line 90. Howsoever thou pursuest this act of killing Claudius, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven. All right, stop right there. That one phrase says, I don't know if my wife, your mother, had anything to do with planning the murder or not. I know she slept and I know she committed adultery, sleeping with Claudius while she was married to me, but I don't know about the murder. So kill Claudius, but don't kill Gertrude. Leave her to heaven. Because we don't know. I don't know, and therefore you don't know. And then I want us to turn to the very last page of this act, which is it's page 69. And Hamlet says, almost in a whisper, the last three lines of the act. O cursed spite that ever I was born to set it right. May come, let's go together. In other words, I'm not a man of action. I'm not a Mars. I'm not a, let me go get him, let me go get him, come and get it, come and get it. I'm not that person. I'm a reflective person. I'm not a killer, but he's going to follow through. Okay, now we're going to go we've already seen what happens with his, when he's in the court, too much in the sun. Let's talk about the climax of the play. Climax of the play. He didn't want to kill Claudius on the basis of what the ghost. Can you imagine going to a trial? Why did you kill Claudius? Well, the ghost told me to. Oh, okay. Let's go for a mental examination. No. The ghost, he says, I need proof more than this. That's why he has the players play that scene where he introduces that, he said, they're going to do the mousetrap. Can you intersperse a scene that I'm going to give you where the king is killed by pouring poison in his ear? And they say, yeah. So when that happens, the king says, lights, lights. And he knows that Hamlet knows. So Hamlet says, no. And there are two mistakes Hamlet makes. Number one, I'm not sure it's a mistake. He sees he's going to kill Claudius, and Claudius is kneeling at an altar, if you remember. And this shows you that some of the religious feelings have, and he says, oh my God, if I kill him now, he'll go straight to heaven because he's praying. I want to wait till he's done a lot more sins, full of bread, as Hamlet said. But the irony is that Claudius is saying, I can't pray. I can't pray. It'd be dishonest, because if I ask for forgiveness, I'd have to give up being king. And I don't want to do that. So the irony is, so he goes to his brothers, right? This is the climax of the play. Who is always hiding behind a curtain in the play? Polonius. He doesn't know any other plays. Except when he goes to instruct his daughter about her sexual activity. So he's hiding behind the curtain he wants to hear what Hamlet says to his mother. And so Hamlet comes in to see his mother, and he hears, just like he had done when talking to Ophelia in the hall, he hears some noise back there, and he, without looking, of course, just stabs Polonius, and he falls down dead. And when the mother says, what hast thou done? And Hamlet looks at Polonius and says, oh, thou intruding fool, I took thee for thy better. I mean, who is better? Not a better person, but a higher up took you to be the king. Now, then They just leave Polonius lying there. It's almost farcical in some ways if it weren't so serious. They leave Polonius lying there, and he comes and said, "Mother, I want to show you two pictures here. One is of my father, and one is of your current husband. Look at these two. Look at these two. Can you really say, look, he used to hang on my father. You used to hang on him and say he was, and you loved him. And now this, you're sleeping with this man, no more like my father than Hyperion to a satyr." He said, can you really call it lust? Because in your day, the heyday of the blood is gone. Now that's a fancy way of saying you're menopausal, all right? Yeah, it is cold. But that's what he said. Really? You should really have all this sexual desire at your age? And so he's, that's real. But he says, and he says, how could you dare? How could you dare jump into bed with this man? He keeps talking about sheets and just, could we talk about something else other than, the bedroom? But he doesn't. And finally, Gertrude says, you've made me look inside myself and I see. I'm so sorry, Hamlet. I'm so sorry. You're right. You're right. And she really believes it. And Hamlet makes that fatal flaw. I've done it as a parent, and maybe I'm just telling you right now. She has said, I understand. I'm going, you're right. But he has worked up so much energy, he wants to keep going, doesn't he? And one more thing, don't do that, and don't do this, and one more thing. Oh, and she's just kind of that. And the ghost appears. He has his mother in his hand. If he just shut up. But he's going strong. He practiced his speech, and he wants to keep going. So the ghost appears and says, hey, remember, what I asked you to do, it was to avenge my murder. Stop this with your mother. Leave her to heaven. He doesn't say that. And so Gertrude says, who are you talking to? He says, oh, the ghost. And at that time, he loses Gertrude. She says he is crazy. If he had just stopped. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been in trouble before with your parents, but I have had 3 children, and I tell you what, I love them, but none of them were perfect, not even close, especially when they were in high school. Middle school was pretty bad. But anyway, if, let's say that I had some kind of idea that they didn't go where they said they were going, I've never heard such thing. And, a mother would call me, or blah, 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 blah. And I had just enough knowledge to know that maybe things weren't as advertised. And as they walked in the door, I had just a little bit of knowledge. All right, I already know. You might as well not try to lie to me. I know where you've been. I know what's been going on. I didn't really. But I just knew that was not, that they weren't. And immediately, oh, Mother, I'm so sorry. This happened, then I went here. I'm so sorry. You can punish me, you can ground me, whatever. But I had practiced my speech. I wasn't through. So I just kept going and kept going and kept going, which is another thing. Golly, plug me in. But that's the worst thing I could have done. Because all I really did, was I out to get behavior to improve, or was I out to prove guilt and that you were wrong? So Hamlet certainly does that. Okay, now, and then Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, we're going to mention them for 1 minute because you're going to read a play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. The line comes from here. That play is very different. I'm not going to say anything about that play. Have you, especially drama students, have you seen the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I saw a really bad version, so.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure there's a good version. Okay. I don't know. I didn't say that. It's a piece of art. Anyway.
That doesn't make it good.
That's beneath me. But at my age, there's not a lot that's beneath me anymore. But anyway, let me just say this, that they are his high school friends. Let's say that you have just gone through a real tragedy. And when you come back home and your step parents or parents call in your high school friends, come cheer her up, come cheer him up. Take him out, let him have some fun. He's so depressed. So but Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are not there to cheer him up. That's the initial reason that Claudius gives them. But then Claudius says, find out what's going on with him. And then take him to England. And that's where Hamlet discovers in their bag. Oh, that was brilliant of Hamlet to do this. I'll tell you about that. But he even says before they leave, you know what you are? You're sponges. You're sponges. You soak up the king's favors. You have no character, no loyalty. Now, again, those of you who are in the I-it relationship, not the I-thou. Horatio is the I-thou friend. I-thou with Hamlet. Whereas Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are not. All right, now, but I want to talk to you just a second on page 139. Okay. He is asking on 139, this is one of my favorite sketches in the play, because I wish I were this person, I'm not. But we're talking about the golden mean in this play. There are two people that probably fit it. Not Laertes, he's too emotional. Tell me, who can I go kill? What do you mean? He doesn't even find out the facts. He just wants to go kill. And, but then, we're line 55. Before they go to the play, he says, Horatio, I want you to watch my uncle with me. I want you to see how he reacts. And Horatio says, well, how my sweet lord at your service? Horatio, thou art e'en as just a man as ever my conversation coped with all. Now stop just a minute. Now, what does just mean in the Renaissance sense? It's, of course, taken from justice. What is justice? You've heard the scales of justice. Thou art even as just a man. You're balanced. Now, what does that mean? You're a balanced man. Nay, do not think I flatter, or what advancement may I hope from thee? Look at the last 4 lines of this on this page. Thou hast been as one in suffering, all that suffers nothing, a man that fortune's buffets and rewards has taken with equal thanks. And blessed are those whose blood, that's emotion, and judgment, that's the rational, are so well committed that they are not upon fortune's finger. Now what he's saying is, you don't overreact when you come in first, and you don't go bury yourself in depression when you're last. You have an equilibrium about yourself that I'm very jealous of. And then in the last thing, and he trusts Horatio, because Hamlet knows that he is not that person at this time. He probably was before. I want you to go to the last page of the play. Do you ever think you'd finish? Yeah, this is one of the longer ones. Macbeth is the shorter one. Okay. So the last page of the play. At the very beginning of the play, what are they doing? They're trying to keep Fortinbras and his army from coming in. They're afraid that he's going to overtake them. And at the very end of the play, Hamlet is killed. Everybody dies except Horatio. He says, Horatio, I'm not going to go back and you read it 2 pages earlier. Horatio, I want you to stay and tell my story to the world, because everybody thinks I'm crazy. Everybody thinks I'm just a murderer. You're the only one who knows the truth. So please stay. Horatio says yes. And I claim that the election of the new king should be Fortinbras from Norway coming in. So here, Fortinbras just walks in and is given the country.
that they were trying to guard against at the very beginning, and we're not gonna go through all of that. Something is rotten in the state of Denver, because it's the rotten core that allows the country to fall apart. And the rotten core, of course, symbolized by, or I'm not gonna use that word ever again, but represented by the king and queen. So look how Fortin Ross, who's one of my favorite characters in literature, doesn't appear very much, but look how he, when he walks in and he sees the horrible scene of murder, is what he said, the last speech of the play. Let four captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage, for he was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most loyal. And for his passage when he was dead, the soldier's music and the right of war should speak louder for him. Take out the bodies, such a sight as this becomes the field, in other words, the battlefield, but shows much amiss. Go bid the soldiers shoot, in other words, give the salute. He's giving him the honorary burial and of a hero's burial. So we have four young men, Hamlet, what Ophelia's speech. Then we have Laertes, Mr. As I say, third and long, gonna take him in and take out the whole defensive line. Then you have Horatio, down keen as just a man as ever I've seen. The bad things and the good things you take with equal measure. And then you have Fortin Ross, who knows how to not gloat, but he knows how to value what he thinks is valuable when he comes in. And he has avenged his father's murder for sure. Now, the reason I've been so tedious with you, and I know you think it's been tedious, because I know you're looking at big pictures over there, and I've enjoyed looking at those. I want you to, you've got to know these lines. There isn't a day that goes by, and I'm pretty old, looking 80 in the face, there's not a day goes by that I don't, in some ways, one of the lines from Hamlet, I know you think I'm a sick lady, I am, but that's beside the point, but it resonates, that they're just things so universal in Hamlet. Number one, it's about teenagers. It's about teenagers with step-parents. It's about teenagers who have, you say, no, Hamlet's really not a teenager, he's 20-something. Details. They're all young men. If you want to have them in college, that's okay. They're dealing with stepfathers. They're dealing with being in love. They're dealing with just jealousy. They're dealing with friendships. Who's the real friend? Who isn't? And over one half of people 17 years old in the United States today, over half, do not live in a home with two parents. And that's not good or bad. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that the dealing with step parents, no parents, Ophelia and Laertes don't have a mother. Hamlet lost his father. So that's something that is more universal than not in American society. So I've enjoyed seeing you, and I wish you good. When you get ready for paper one, go back to what you learned in 9th grade, TP Cast, all right?
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I bet you're getting sick to see it.
You're